Welcome everyone to the Elephants on Business podcast, improving your small business journey one episode at a time. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the 6 best ways a small business can improve their sale price. And the hint is it's all about Goodwill. G'day, Oz.
It's good to be back.
Oz, we're going to start at the high level point, which is from an accounting point of view and just a general business overview. What is Goodwill?
Yeah, so Goodwill from an accounting point of view, it's generally classified as a intangible asset, we call it. So something that you physically probably can't really see in a sense. Essentially it's the price that a buyer is willing to pay you as a business owner when you sell above and beyond, the assets of that particular business. So if you had, let's say, a business and you had $100,000 worth of assets and equipment to run that particular business, if they're willing to pay you, let's say, $200,000 to buy that business, then that excess amount is what we classify as goodwill from an accounting point of view.
And the reason that it's kind of classified that way is because the $100,000 of assets I can see, I can walk in and go, great, there's some tables, there's some stock, the fit out looks great, I can sell all those things if something goes wrong. The extra 100 is on top because there's some sort of goodness in your business.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that kind of concept?
Yep, that's pretty much the concept. And we'll go through those next sort of 6 items and you'll understand, what that extra 100 looks like, right?
And so, just for everyone out there, we're going to frame it in this manner, really about small business. Goodwill has a lot of different facets.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways, there's a lot of reasons why businesses are good and better than other ones and attract a higher sale price. At the end of this episode, we might talk about just some small ones that big businesses think about, but we've really framed it into small business, what you can do on the ground on a day-to-day basis to sort of kickstart your goodwill. And also the first one is really important.
This is pretty much the most important, reputation, right? So like how, the reputation of your business is probably the truest indicator of how great your business is and what that extra maybe 100, 200, 300,000 that you can command for that business sale. So, generally, if you think about it, a good rep business is one, maybe the lines are always full.
Yeah.
They're selling out all the time. There's obviously high demand for their products or services.
Their clients just have a good feeling about that business because they're running a well-oiled machine that they provide consistent service. I always think about reputation very simply in like a location based. If I live in a suburb, and obviously my suburb has a whole bunch of bars and restaurants, but I'm willing to travel 5 suburbs to go to this specific point, that's because I've heard about it because their reputation's really good.
That's exactly right.
A friend of a friend from a suburb, it's gotten to me, and if it's like 10 suburbs away, I'm like, whoa, big reputation.
Yeah, and you still go out of your way to go and visit that particular business.
It's the same way I think about lovely, I should do less of it, but ordering Uber Eats, I go, I really like this place. The food is always nice. It's really good, but it's coming from God knows where, and I'm happy to wait an extra time for it. The quality, right?
Yes.
And then into other industries like reputation of law firms, reputation of services, reputation of food, cafes, delivery points.
That's right.
If you have a good reputation, it kind of flows into the next 5 points.
Yeah, so that's why we listed that. Reputation is listed as number 1 because, that's what we feel like the next couple of points that we're going to go through is sort of feeding your reputation. So like as you go through these points, the better you get at these points, your reputation hopefully gets a little larger as you go along the way.
And before we step into the next point, I want to be clear what I think reputation is for small business, because it's not about, it isn't about how many followers you have on Instagram. All these things are valuable parts of your business, but reputation is really that inbuilt feeling your customers get going, these guys are great.
Yeah.
Their product is great. They've thought about me as a customer. They get it done. They solve my problem. It's that feeling that you go, well, I like this business.
Yeah.
For some reason, the reputation, it's gotten me, and I'm really happy with their service.
Exactly. And then on top of that, you're really happy with the service, and you're talking about that business to other, family members or friends, and you're providing that word of mouth generation and kick towards that business as well.
So it's a nice segue into the second way I think business owners can increase their sale price through Goodwill is just the quality of the services they provide.
Yeah, so that's a big one as well. So, two businesses in the same industry, one providing a better quality of either a service or that product, is going to demand obviously a higher sort of sale price when it comes to that, when they're looking at selling that particular business. And once again, the businesses or services that provide that extra quality generally are known to have the better reputation. So that's why it sort of feeds back in.
Just to deep dive into quality, does quality relate to just a higher price, or is it something a bit deeper? Quality doesn't just mean I'm charging the most for something.
Yeah, no. If you're a business owner and your standards are, I need a standard of, let's say, excellence, but I'm still not going to demand that, higher price. That's
fine.
Yeah, it still works well, and you probably, it will still help with your reputation. It still helps you win new clients and things like that.
And, for other businesses out there, quality comes in so many shapes and sizes. It can be the quality of your process, the quality of the actual widget that you're selling, the quality of how you bring people into the business, the quality of your marketing. But I always believe that quality wins, and it's very hard to keep quality as your business is growing because
that's the balance.
Quality is usually built by the business owner. I've left a job to start a business because maybe I didn't like the way it was done somewhere else.
Yep, and
I feel like I can do it better. And so at the start, your quality is probably through the roof. But as your small business grows and new people come, it's actually very difficult to keep
maintain
the quality standards going. But if you do, that's why someone's willing to pay more money.
That's exactly right. And then you can imagine that, like, as a small business owner, if you've opened up one shop and you're the head of that particular shop and you're obviously there managing, if you've gone and opened up a second location, then it's maybe hard, right? The quality is not the same, right? Because then how are you going to go and manage the two locations? So sometimes, you obviously just need to be mindful of that.
But if you can work real hard to nail that, we're going to try. That is what people pay overs for.
Yeah. And once again, some of these other points that we get into,
they all kind of feed into each other.
Yeah, will help with the quality and maintaining of that quality as you go in, and obviously then feeds back into the reputation.
Now, obviously, number 3 we're going to talk about is the delivery. How do you deliver your services? And I think if you scroll back 20 years ago, the only method of delivery was your location.
Where you're located.
Where are you based?
Yeah.
And I think for small business, particularly who run physical-based stores, location can have an impact. Just like when you're buying a house, the location does make a difference.
That's right. So like that location, are you close to your schools and whatnot, and depending on which client base you've got around you. So if you're out in, let's say, rural regions, obviously you probably don't have as much foot traffic and things like that. But that's not to say that rural regions don't work as well. It comes back down to that reputation piece as well. If you're willing to travel out there and enjoy whatever they're offering, that still aids.
If you're in a rural region area and your quality is way better than everyone else, then you're going to stand out.
Yeah.
But the rule of thumb is obviously if you have a physical-based business, location makes a big importance because maybe the demographic is better. But ultimately, all these kind of things feed in. And obviously, in the last 20 years since the internet, your ability to pivot or someone else to pivot online or maybe part being online is a big thing for Goodwill.
Correct. So like if you had, let's say, a physical location selling goods, and then not only have you now stacked it with an online presence, obviously then, there's probably a bit of goodwill that you've created there along the way, because now you've got 2 avenues to sell that particular product.
And because it is kind of like 2 businesses, one, because when you go online, well, the best thing about physical is you control, right? People come to you, you drag them by your reputation, and you control the process. Once you go online, there's a lot of things: logistics, quality control, delivery of time, managing inventory gets a bit more complicated because someone walks in, I can sell, replace. Online, you might get 50 orders, and it's hard to understand and gauge. So having that ability to go online, even if it's a service base, a lot of you see a lot of courses and businesses going online to service clients. It's not just products. adds a big dimension, and everyone knows that online is seen as this big gold mine.
Yeah.
So there are higher sale prices and higher multiples that come with potentially having that avenue there.
Exactly. And then on top of that, when we look at it as an online space, there's also a limiting factor for some businesses that go online. So you can have online businesses that sell worldwide. So if you've got, like, as you said before, a course, that's very easy potentially to sell to a lot of people in different countries. If you just have it in English or you get it translated into different languages, you've now opened up a broader market. But if you had a business that's reliant on maybe shipping a particular product and you don't have, let's say, the tools to ship it on overseas, your market is now just probably Australia. So
narrows down.
So there is, like, markets within markets of these locations and online presences as well.
Absolutely. One of the next ones, which I think I'm a big believer on, and it's something that's extraordinarily hard to do, and obviously we always say that all these things link together, but number 4 is around your efficiency of your management and processes, which is extraordinarily difficult as a small business owner. I particularly find it really difficult because, like I said, I left a business to have control of everything.
Yep.
And as the business grows from no business to small business, you sit there and to keep management humming well and those layers working and the quality of your processes, it's really hard.
Very hard, very hard. And this comes back to the point what you alluded to before, where it ties back into the quality of that goods and services that you are delivering. So having an efficient management process and the team there as well, the quality of your team, employment retention, things like that, they all play into that delivery of service, the reputation, things like that. This is probably the hardest aspect of. It just depends how you are as a manager, but depending on what you're trying to do, and if you are striving for excellence and that quality that, like, we are, we find this is pretty tough, right?
And I find it's something that's not talked about enough is you have to remember when you're selling your business, you're not going to be there to run it.
That's right.
The buyer is going, if Oz leaves, can the rest of the team handle this? With me, I might be the buyer that's coming in to replace, but I also might just be an investor going, I'll take the business. Oz is going to leave, and the team has to keep churning out the work. And that's an extraordinary thing for a business owner to think about, because if I take a holiday 3 years ago, the business would have just shut down. Now I can take more of a holiday because I've got a team around me. But essentially, if I leave completely, what does my business look like? If it doesn't change at all, you have a very saleable business, right? You have essentially moved towards removing yourself, taking all the knowledge that you know and imparting it into other key team members, into processes, into layers of reporting, whatever it might be.
You
have
essentially
to think
build
about
that machine, right? And then, it's going to take care of itself.
And so if you're managing reputation and quality because you're the boss and you're controlling everything, that's amazing while you're running the business. You are there. But we're talking about how do I increase my goodwill for sale? And so it's very important to think about, as annoying as it is, the quality of staff, how well they've stayed in the business, how long are they going to be in the business when you're not there?
The processes
around
documented
it to help
process.
them keep the quality, delivery, reputation. It's tough.
That's tough. Very tough.
Very, very tough. But it's a really important part of the sale price. Really think about it from the buyer side.
Yeah.
Oz is gone, or you as a business owner are gone. Who else is going to run this with me?
Yeah. And that's what a lot of business owners strive to get to, that position where even if you weren't going to sell the business and you want to just maintain it, it's that's where a lot of people would like to sort of sit, where you've got the layers and the management there, and the business is standing on its own 2 feet and really just generate.
You want to take a holiday, right? You want to retire. You want to do all that kind of stuff. It's bloody difficult.
Yeah.
We struggle with it big time in the business, right? So really think about efficiency of management and processes. Number 5, which is obviously the favorite of numbers people, is the stability of your cash flow. And I'm not saying stability of revenue or anything like that. For a small business, profits and cash flow just win.
Yes.
And again, similar to reputation, if you do all these other items well, you should be commanding a very profitable business and essentially me, as if I'm a pure investor, I might be buying a business for 200, 300, 2 million. I want money back.
Return,
From that business.
yeah,
I'm
you
not
want
just
that
buying the
return on
business
investment.
because I like to own businesses.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it from a very finance point of view, return on investment, return on capital, all these fancy words. But the reality is I'm paying for a return.
Yeah.
And that return is not just nice stuff. It's money back.
That's right. And the ones that we typically see in this area, like businesses that do well, is, you know, obviously if they have contracts, right? So like contracts with particular
suppliers
or clients or government institutions or whatever it may be, those ones there can help you sort of forecast out what the next 5-10 years looks like, as long as you're hitting the quality and things of that nature, and you don't lose that contract. It's very easy to go, okay, this is a very stable business because we can see it's going to be very reoccurring revenue and you know, it's going to support.
And you really, for me, I use the word cash flow a lot, not profit, because profit is great. It's fantastic. It's something you should strive for. Cash flow retrains your brain to think of it in this way. If I'm getting paid $1 million from a business, but it comes in 1 month of the year versus I'm getting paid equal parts of that $1 million every month, I need to live. I need to pay my mortgage. I need to maybe repay my bank loan to buy the business. If the cash flow is more consistent, I feel better paying a bit more because I'm like, well, I'm going to get weekly income.
Yeah, you're not as stressed.
I don't
because
know,
like
I might get $1 million in December, but it could be 800, and then what happens?
Exactly. Or it could be 1 million, 500, 800. It could be anything. So like that feeds into the stress of running that particular business. So you would, as you said, you know, in our opinion, like opt for, you know, the stable,
stability,
monthly, reoccurring, weekly, whatever it may be.
And the key things that I was kind of mentioning a few more is obviously favorable contracts for you to manage that, how well you have pricing power and expense management power. So when you have a good reputation, if market forces go against you, you can increase price and your business won't change.
Yes.
Or you can increase terms. You can say, listen, we used to collect money at 60, we might go to 45.
Yeah.
Or we went from a quarterly billing system to a monthly billing system because better cash flow, right? So
or an upfront payment versus, you know,
like if you're doing a website business, part up front, part later, or equal part payments through in kind of like your fixed price agreement. So stability of cash flow is essentially what I pay overs for. If I'm getting more stable, I'd rather have a lower income that's more stable than a higher income that's more variable. That's just me, but I think that's a lot of investors.
Yeah, exactly.
And number 6, the last one obviously is just management of your business risk. Like, is it well thought out? If something goes wrong, there's a plan in place to solve that problem.
Yeah, so this one here, sometimes you're in a particular industry and it can get wiped out, like if there's government policy changes and things like that. But, you know, there's a lot of things that you can do and control, right? So, like, you know, if technology improves in your industry, are you going to be at the forefront of, you know, trying to adopt that technology, or are you just going to let it sort of wipe you out, you know? So, and then, you know, who are your key stakeholders and things of that nature, you know, the key personnel within your business, you know, are you looking after them? Obviously, there's, you know, things that you should be aware of when it comes to that. Yeah.
And I think, you know, business risk is not many people think about the risks, because it's like, well, I'm in here, I'm going to take care of the risks. I've fought these battles before and won in small business, but really think about it, obviously, like, you're not going to be there. So how long have you tied key personnel in with great incentives? Have you got great supplier relationships, or is it a handshake deal or a written contract? It's very different. A handshake deal is great, works. People do that all the time. But when you're not there and something goes wrong, what do you rely on? Is it documented? Is a contract there?
Yes.
So really think about the risks in your business and preparation for sale. Obviously, at the start, when you're growing and accelerating, you might not think about this. But if you're thinking about selling, these are the things that can get you that extra couple of $100,000, which is a massive return in the long run.
Yeah, and there's obviously, like, if you've got business partners, how does that work as well?
Yeah.
You know, buy-sell agreements, how you're going to pay them out, things like that. Do you have longer terms?
Yep.
There's, especially if you're going to sell your partnership percentage and someone else is going to come in, there's a lot of things to just tick off as well.
Absolutely. And we kind of mentioned the specifics. So they're our top 6. We might just quickly go through them. Reputation, quality of goods and services, how you deliver, efficiency of management and processes, stability of cash flow, and business risk.
Yep.
They're the 6 ones we think there are for small business. And really to touch on why we focus on small business, because there's a whole bunch of other stuff for big business. Everyone talks about the Ubers, the Airbnb, they sell for massive figures. They have a lot of stuff that really doesn't, I don't think, relates to your general small business. And they're kind of like your technology Oz.
Yeah, the R&D, the IP.
The patents that they might have. These are kind of larger things, size and scale. But at the start, if you're thinking of selling your business, just think about the core things that would allow you to buy a business.
Yep.
If you focus on those, which are these ones we mentioned, they all kind of flow into, I think, either cash flow or reputation. If all those things align, I think you've got a great business to sell.
Exactly.
Amazing. Thanks everyone for tuning in. You have a lovely day. Thanks again. Bye.